So we conduct practice-based and practice-led research. We are often using arts-based methods. On this slide, you see some impressions of past projects. The image on the top left shows a painting session with kids. On the top right, you see my studio and colleagues from Switzerland, Iran, and Bhutan. And we were producing together art books containing contemporary and traditional Buddhist images. And on the bottom left, you see an arrangement of flowers and stones that we created with kids and colleagues in Malawi. And on the bottom right shows a performative wall painting in Bangalore, India, at the Srishti School of Art Design and Technology. So we conduct practice-based and practice-led research and activities using the terms as defined by Linda Candy. She says practice-based, that's the creative artifact, is the basis of the contribution to knowledge. And a practice-led means the research leads primarily to new understandings about practice. So I think we probably all have this understanding that art is locally rooted. It's rooted in local settings. So we have art everywhere, worldwide, but it corresponds with the local settings. I'm using the term local. Local merges global and local. And Roland Robertson, a sociologist, brought this term into sociological discussion in the early 1990s. The term emerged in Japan in the 1980s. Japanese multinational corporations thought to increase their sales by adapting mass-produced products, such as cars, and to suit them to local conditions. A local car is a universal vehicle featuring local adaptations. Robertson applied the term to draw attention to the fact that without the production and inclusion of locality, there is no globalization. Therefore, we should always keep such interrelations in mind. Thus, the theory of globalization focuses on the relational tensions, relationships, and intertwined dynamics of global and local dispositions and processes. And I think this is also a topic that I would like to talk with you then later about in our discussions. What does that mean with our art initiatives in our local settings and exchanging on it? Rather than contrasting the global and the local, the concept of globalization suggests that to understand processes of change in our increasingly globalized world, we need to focus on the relational dynamics between the local and the global. Art in the everyday, or art in action, working with art in social cultural settings, is one of the rapidly expanding tendencies which we can observe worldwide. This phenomenon poses challenges to research perspectives. Pluriperspectivity especially challenges existing art discourse. In a recent project that I just finished, I propose a form of research through and on art in action that builds on new methodology. But today I won't go any further into this. I would like to present today the project mapping Kultur. Allow me to provide some more information about the name of the project. Mapping refers to gathering information on a particular topic. In our case, we mapped the socially innovative cultural production of the Limmat Valley. And Kultur is combining two words. It's Kultur, meaning culture, and Tour, meaning excursion. In that sense, it's a cultural excursion. And the specific use of lowercase and capitalized letters also reveals another world, cult or cult. The project aims to connect culture workers map the social innovative projects that exist in the Limmat Valley, and support dialogue about new practices and societal exchanges. We conceived this project for the so-called Regionale 2025. The Regionale 2025, it's a regional project show. And as its name indicates, it will take place in 2025. Yet several projects are at work on various themes already. The Regional 2025 aims to promote the Limmat Valley and encourages further development there. It promotes the economy, products, and culture of the region. Exhibition, shows, events, and other activities are planned for 2025. The Limmat Valley is in Switzerland, in the Swiss lowlands. It runs along a river which emerges from Lake Zurich. The valley is about 25 kilometers long and it's densely populated. It consists of 16 municipalities, that is 10 villages and 6 cities. In Switzerland, any community of over 10,000 people is considered a city. For example, Dietikon, a city with 28,000 inhabitants. In Dietikon, people from 74 nations live there. So the Swiss population makes up around 50% of people with a permanent residence in Dietikon. In comparison, in Switzerland as a whole, the Swiss population is about 75% of all permanent residents. I myself, I live in Zurich, right next to the river Limmat. Every morning when I drink my coffee, I start the day looking at the water as it flows by. The project will run till 2025. It started 2019 it was inspired by the culture attaché of the city of Dietikon, who observed a lack of visibility and connection between cultural workers and artists. So Flux then conceptualized how to meet that need and added the focus of social innovative projects. By social innovative project, we mean new practices that tackle challenges in our societies. We submitted a project at the end of 2019, and in 2020, we adjusted and further developed the project details in close exchange with the Regional or the Regionale 2025 secretary. We are now fundraising, while at the same time beginning the first phase of the project. The official start of the project is this autumn, and it will end in 2025. Irene, when you were presenting before, you said your project is not about innovation, but to move forward. So I think that's how we understand social innovative projects. It's about to move forward, and we're not using a top-down definition of the term. We ask everyone to come up and say, well, what I do, this is moving forward. This is social innovative. So we came up with 4 sub-projects: online, news, dialogue, and Inno. Online, we are creating an online community. For this, we will use a Clio app. This app has been developed by an artist colleague, also based in Zurich, and provides artists with archival, portfolio, and networking possibilities. New to the app are its community features, which we are using to connect cultural workers and artists. Everyone working and living in the Limmat Valley can create a profile free of charge and to show what they do. The sub-project news tackles the problem of different agendas in different cities. They're not well connected, so the scene is fragmented. We will not replace any existing newsletters or agendas, but we will all make them accessible to this online community. We plan that online and news will be established by the end of this year, and then we'll focus making the community popular so that most culture workers will be part of the network by 2025. With Dialogue and Inno, we promote socially innovative projects. During our project phase, latest by 2025, we will hand over all the sub-projects to other owners, local owners, and thus guarantee that what we are building will continue on. Here on this side, you see an online call. The assumption that informs mapping culture is that not only are cultural workers not well connected, but there is also an incredible number of innovative activities taking place, of which we have too little awareness. So if I say to colleagues, we are working on social innovative project in the region, they all say, is there any? And then when you start looking, it's incredible how much is happening. So this is our main concern. We want to show what already exists. We want to connect, and we want to start awareness and dialogue on how various initiatives are moving forward to a future they believe they want to build, they want to have, they want to live in. So we believe to strengthen social innovative activities, we must value and create visibility for activities that already exist and promote more dialogue about where we wish to go in our future and what kind of living environments we wish to have. How do we find existing social innovative projects? We've put out a call, which we are currently placing in various newsletters, news from regional art associations, for example, or information from the cities. We are also using mouth-to-mouth communication. Yeah, I just would like to show you 4 examples of social innovative projects that already are now documented on the webpage Art and Society. We use this one till the new online community is established in autumn. So here are some of the projects. For example, on the top right, Grassrooted, they are experimenting with alternatives to supermarket. Then on the top left, Andres Borsard, he's experimenting, making us aware of how we hear noise, how we don't hear what we don't want to hear. We have on the top bottom the Swiss Children Museum. They send out solar technology kits every year to families who then build their own cars and organize a car race. So this is making aware of energy production and a sustainable future. And another example is Acteria. They run workshops worldwide. They are interested in hacking, in biohacking, in coming up through experimental work with solutions and ideas for our living environments. They now just opened up a new lab here in Zurich where everybody can join in and meet and produce their work. So these are the 4 of many examples. I've choose this one also to show you because I think farming is one of the discussions or one of the activities that is also really widely spreading all over the world. We have, for example, Loco. They organize a collective, a cooperative, where you become a member, you pay something, and you work several days on the farm, and together you produce the food that you need for you every day. I would like to draw attention to Benny Chan's film, The Raging Land. He also documented several such initiatives in Hong Kong, Japan, and Taiwan. So this is another topic that I'm very much interested to exchange with you all. We have the same tools, the same art-based methods, and also other strategies worldwide. We have completely different local settings. And what can we learn from each other? How can we um, bring our knowledge together so that we can all move forward in a better way? So when we want to collect around 100 such initiatives by autumn. We will go on. We want finally to hopefully document all of the projects. And when we have around 100 projects, hopefully this autumn, we will then start to collaborate with several youth groups in the region. As a first step, we will train a team of about 4 to 8 young people. They will learn how to teach others to make short video portraits with their own mobile phones. And after that, they will pass on their knowledge to other young people. What you see now in the slide is from another project, but also with youth reporters. They interviewed the Swiss artist Hans Walter Graf, who's well known for his extensive and creative work with young kids. He also lives in Switzerland. So what are our main challenges? Plainly put, some artists are scared that being put into the same frame as cultural workers could possibly devalue their work. But there are artists that do not care, and we can go forward in an inclusive way and leave the doors open for others to join whenever they are ready. That brings me to the topics that the Asia Europe Foundation asked us to address. The role of and value of the arts in a time of crisis, the arts in crisis, international collaboration in the new normal, art and well-being. I thought I make a short mapping of where I stand in connection to these questions. Concerning the role and value of the arts in time of crisis, there are several crises, no? And I believe the role and value of the arts to challenge our societal challenges is well documented, even though the critique has been made that research has not yet proven the effects of art-based methods. They are used widely and more. Arts-based methods are known, among others, to trigger things, to be used to evoke and exchange empathy, to provide relief, elicit multiple meanings, to promote community building, support dialogue, provoke responses, among many other things. When we come to arts in crisis, I mean, we could think about arts in crisis now in this COVID-19 situation. I will come back to that at the end of my talk. But much has been said also about art in general being in crisis. But there I suggest that we distinguish between art discourse and art practice. Our theory is in crisis. Art historical assumptions have problems with the pluriperspective dispositions of our world. Their assumptions often do not correspond with the roots of global art, with art being globally anchored. In contrast, art practice is flourishing. I think the projects you have been presenting have demonstrated this. If we come to art and well-being, art is a powerful driver for change. Artists working in social cultural settings are also experienced with bottom-up strategies, which guarantees sustainable development. And their work is context sensitive, corresponds to the particular setting it takes place in. So concerning the question of international collaborations, and this is the setting we are in here now, we are using the same tools worldwide. More and more people are using art-based methods to change their living environments. However, global settings are particular. How does this affect practice-relevant exchange on art in action? How can we learn from others' experiences when our environments are so different? this is one of the questions that I would be very happy to discuss with you all. And I'm now moving on to the last part of the this presentation. With Mapping Kultur, we want to show all the cultural activities that are from different initiatives taking place to move forward with our challenges, to tackle challenges in our societies. So, and as I said, artists are scared that this would devalue their work. And yes, I mean, it could be that we destabilize border of what is art, what is not art. Irene, you've also been talking about this, others of you as well, about how what is seen, but does it matter? If we look from a disciplinary perspective from the arts, of course, then the disciplinary perspective is interested to work along the line of its own methods and criteria. But if we look at and take at the center stage the challenges in the society, then all these frontiers, they don't matter. But what does that then mean for being able to sustain your living, being able as an artist to work and gain money for what one does? This is not the only problem that we're facing. That's why I've posted this one here. It's from The Guardian. There are some who say that through the robot revolution, we will lose worldwide about 40% of the jobs that we have now. And now already through the COVID-19 crisis, which was posted here, to newspaper clips. It could be any other one. I just wanted to show, for example, the one on the International Labour Organization talks about already 81 million jobs are lost because of the COVID-19 situation in the Asia-Pacific labour markets. There are also millions lost in Europe and in the United States, South America and Africa, everywhere. So I guess this dynamic that was anyway to be coming now already accelerated through this COVID-19 situation. So we have a problem. How do we deal with this? And lately, for the recent few years, this idea of the basic universal income is discussed in many different discourse spheres. Here, a screenshot from UNESCO. They posted that in 2017 and asked, can the universal basic income solve global inequalities? The idea of the universal basic income is quite simple. The idea, it's every legal resident in a country receives a monthly stipend sufficient to live above the poverty line. Let's call this the no-frills, culturally respectable standard of life. I'm reading from the code that you also see on your screen. The grant is unconditional on the performance of any labor or other form of contribution, and it is universal. Everyone receives the grant, rich and poor alike. Grants go to individuals, not families. Parents are the custodians of underage children's grants, which may be smaller than the grants of adults. It's actually quite interesting when one starts to look into this topic where already experiments took place. So I didn't know before I researched it that, for example, Iran has a universal basic income, Alaska as well. And experiments with the universal basic income have been taking place all over the world already. So all these dots show where universal basic income experiments took place. There are now, because of the COVID situation, several countries or cities who try to experiment with it even further by involving artists into this experiment. So artists who don't earn any money at the moment, to try to see what happens if a universal basic income is contributed to them. In Zurich, this was the which one? Sorry for the slide. We voted a few years ago whether we want a universal income in Switzerland. It didn't get approved, but now in Zurich there was a petition and enough signatures got together. So what we do here is we will, the city will come up with a universal basic income experiment, and it will be researched by the university, what happens and what is possible. The idea is very simple of what it wants to achieve, but the big questions are how does it work and what are the effects. So by this, I've finished my talk. I hope I could give you some insights into the Mapping Kultur project. So actually, we are artists. We also do our practice-based work. This project, Mapping Kultur, we more coordinators, making visible, and then together with the youth groups, organize video portraits, which we will again use to bring the message to a wider public. And then we will move on with further activities, which we will decide about in 2 years' time, what exactly these will be, based on what comes up. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to Jay again.
Thank you, Dominic. Is it okay if I move to Zurich and get the income also?
You're most welcome. You're most welcome.
Oh, you mean anyone can go there and register as a resident? Of course, only for Swiss citizens.
Actually, at the moment, it's who is surprised, not possible. It's not the whole city. Let's see if I go back to does it say how many? A group of people will be selected. So it's not everyone in Zurich. It's like an experiment. How does it work? And I don't know, if it's 500 people or something. They select a group of people who will, over a certain amount of time, become that universal basic income, and it's monitored by the university. And then, evaluation and discussion, and maybe it will be introduced. We'll see.
Okay.
But I mean, the basic idea is there is enough money worldwide for all of us to survive. The question is, how does it get where it's needed?
Yes, this issue was I actually discussed in Germany over maybe 10, 15 years ago, because in Germany, when you look at the institutional expense of managing the unemployment money, managing the social welfare money, if you give everybody the same amount of money, it's the same. You don't lose any money at all, because the institution take out so much money in managing this unemployment, social welfare, and all that. So it's actually no-brainer, but still it did not get the agreement of everyone.